everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems. Certainly want to welcome you here today, and hopefully you're ready and to learn more about American Business Systems, about getting plugged into the largest network of medical billing companies in America. Here, folks, I want to introduce you not only the CEO and the founder of American Business Systems, but someone that I certainly can call a friend for the last 7 years, and that's Patrick Phillip. Patrick, let's get you back on the call here, on the video here, and let's get this thing started here. Good to have you here this afternoon. Let's just get started here. What does it mean to be powered by American Business Systems or getting plugged into this so-called network of medical billers?
You know, you brought this up the other day, Eric, and I just thought we'd never thought about this before. But you see all over the web different products and services that are powered by, meaning there's technology behind that particular thing that you're looking at. It's just powered by. And you know, we do the same thing for our licensees, right? We, as a company, the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies out there, we power all of our licensees with all the technology and products and services that we offer.
Yeah, so as you got to go through this webinar today, you're going to find out, because I think a lot of times, Patrick, a lot of people don't get the idea of medical billing, because I know that we all get to talk with different folks, and I think some people think of it, well, is it just a training program? Is it, am I going to learn? What am I going to learn? Am I going to learn online? All that kind of stuff. And then people start asking, well, do you give us the software? And what about marketing? You may have to go market to doctors and all of this. But really, as you can tell from this, that we really want you to get plugged into this whole industry of medical billing. And yeah, it just seems like a hand in glove type thing about what we want to promote here today. So,
and you know, Eric, one of the reasons is because, you know, some people don't realize that there's a huge need out there, and this next statistic here is especially relevant because a lot of people don't realize 42% of all physician practices that have 1 to 5 doctors in the practice hope to outsource their billing in the next 12 months. Now, that's a survey that was done there by the blackbookrankings.com. And so, Eric, that to me means that this is a huge window of opportunity. Doctors want to get that billing outside their office. They don't want to spend all the money on updates to the software, training their staff, and just maintaining that in the office. They should be focusing on what their core competency is, which is seeing patients.
Yeah, and I think the reason why, Patrick, is because, and this is kind of that we want to talk about the sweet spot of, you know, what kind of doctors we're looking for, 1 to 5 doctors, and this is what we've always told all of our licensees.
Yeah,
it's so amazing that the Black Book Rankings actually came out with this statistic that is stating that 42%. So we're talking, let's just say half of all doctors that are in that 1 to 5 doctor window are looking to outsource. And Patrick, one of the reasons is because their software, you mentioned it, their software that they currently have, they're either having to update it, they're having to maintain it, or like I like to talk about it, is that they may have been sold a software, we know that, but they don't know how to use it. And that's sad that doctors are being targeted that way. To me, it's frustrating to hear that doctors have bought these big systems, promising the world that it'll fix their problems, but
right. Yeah, look, Eric, I on my Mac computer here, I actually had to buy this. You know what this is? This didn't come with the Mac. I had to buy it. This is a DVD drive. In other words, nowadays, everything is on the cloud, right? You can download just about any piece of software you need, but there's still some companies out there selling software that actually, you got to have one of these, right? You have to insert the disk, install the software on your computer. Then you have to, with some companies, take another piece of software, go to the doctor's office, install it on their computer. Then you use a third-party software that hooks the two together and lets you communicate back and forth. It's so ancient when you think about it that, again, you can't even buy computers now with a built-in drive. It's old technology.
Yeah, everything's in the cloud. That's where we're going. You and I have been preaching that for the last 2.5, 3 years now. And it kind of goes along with this other statistic that you found from physiciansfoundation.org. Let's talk about what this percentage is talking about.
Yeah, look, think about how huge a number of physicians this is talking about. 81% describes themselves as either overextended or at full capacity, up from 75% in 2012 and 76% in 2008. Only 19% say that they have time to see more patients.
Hmm.
So, if we can take away from them this burden of dealing with the patient, the billing for not just
Right.
for patients, but for the insurance companies and for Medicare, if we can take that and outsource that to you, one of our licensees, think of what that does. It frees up the doctor to see more patients. And folks, with the Affordable Care Act coming into effect more and more every day, there's thousands of people that did not have insurance that now have it. That means they're going to go see the doctor. And so the doctor is going to be even worse than it says here.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, tying that into what Patrick and I were talking about, that again, these doctors have been sold software, promising that it's going to help reduce their time, but yet it's actually doubled their time, and that's why doctors at this point are feel like they're at full capacity. They can't do more with the government asking them to do more with less, and so what we're finding with our licensees are it's just unbelievable what some doctors are saying. You finally showed up at the right time. Patrick,
Right.
you
Well,
say here that physicians spend 20% of their time on non-clinical paperwork. What does that mean?
yeah, that means it has nothing to do with the patient care. And so this is talking about physicians now, not their staff. The physicians themselves, 20% of them are actually dealing with this non clinical paperwork, which is primarily the billing, right? So we're trying to free doctors up, is what we're trying to do. We're trying to salvage the doctors so that they can stay in private practice.
Exactly. And so when we say that when powered by American business systems, we can show that our iClaim system has an average of a rejection rate of less than 2%. Now, Patrick, we may have this in the next slide or so, but I mean, the average of what we've seen of rejection rates that doctors are dealing with are above 34%.
Yes, that's right. Nationwide, and I think we do have a slide on that later, but 34% rejection rate, that's a third of all the claims that are submitted get rejected. And of course, you know what happens to those claims, Eric, when it comes back to the doctor's office. They don't have time to find out what's wrong with that claim and resubmit it. So a lot of it just sits in a drawer, so to speak, somewhere and doesn't get submitted. And then at the end of the year, the doctor says, oh, well, I'll just write that off. Well, they'd rather have that money in their bank account.
Exactly. And a great question that Isaac is just typed in is he says, how does the ABS software allow doctors to see more patients? Well, first of all, Isaac, if we got to get everything out of that doctor's office that is clogging up their time. And one of them is that we're talking about here is the billing portion of it, as Patrick has been sharing with you. The second thing is helping the doctor see more patients is that this software will help them become more efficient in their office.
Right.
That means that they'll be able to organize their office better. There's some other things there. But more importantly, whenever it's added with the electronic medical records platform, that's where you can really start to see an increase of the doctor being able to see some more patients there. So it's not just a one band-aid that fixes everything at one time. It truly is that you, as an ABS licensee, and again, powered by us, you're going to learn how to go in there and really just consult with the doctor and find out what their biggest problems are and fixing those through the system there.
Yeah, so Isaac, think about it this way. In the typical doctor's office, let's say there's just one doctor, right? He has one person probably who runs the office. They may have a part-time girl or a full-time person who's that's what their job is to do the billing, right? Because there's lots of billing to Medicare and insurance companies. That full-time person, their time could be taken, outsource the billing, and now let that person help the doctor see more patients. If the doctor could see another 10 patients a day, think what that would do for their revenue there in the office and keep the doctor doing what they want to do, which is see patients and help people get well.
Exactly. And there's other questions that are coming in, so we're going to get to those because those are some specific areas that we're already addressing that we're going to be dealing with through the rest of the presentation today. So Patrick, I'm asking you the question, kind of a redundant question. So what does it mean to be powered by ABS? I mean, Patrick, you've been doing this now for 21 years, helping a lot of people get going here. But, just speak just directly to folks before we get to any other slide. What does it mean to you by people getting plugged into
Okay,
ABS?
can you stop showing your screen just for a second? Because I want them to
Yeah.
focus here on what I'm about to say. Eric, this is very important, folks, that you realize that what happens is my screen, oh yeah, my computer's covering up my video there. Okay, I'm still up there, alive here. This is live. When my wife and I started doing medical billing back in 1987, for example, there wasn't a huge need for this because there wasn't that much billing that was being done to the insurance company and to Medicare. So that's grown over the years, and now it's gone electronic, and so it's even more involved for the doctor. And folks, it's not to say that you couldn't go out and start your own medical billing company. Linda and I did. We didn't have anybody like American Business Systems to train us. So it can be done, and it has been done. Why is it that you should invest in our opportunity? Well, here's the next slide. It will tell you. Because you become not just the lone wolf out there on your own, but you are a part of the nation's largest network of. Oh, I love your grandchildren there. I saw them on the background there.
Yeah.
You are a part of the nation's largest network. Now, what does that mean? It positions you completely differently than you would be if you were just, Bob Jones working out of his office in his pajamas. Not that you might be doing that, but the doctor doesn't need to know that. The doctor never comes to your home. You are the one that goes to their offices, and you become something much, much bigger. You can position yourself as a local office of the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies. Folks, that speaks volumes. And as you'll see as we go through the slides here, it also ties you in with all the other things that includes being powered by ABS.
And Patrick, I know that people might look at this map and they're going, "Oh my goodness, you mean there may be an ABS licensee in my own town or anything else?" And so we want to kind of address that little thoughts that are going in people's heads so far. But let's talk about that. We kind of like to say, other licensees don't seem to be your competition, because we've got folks that are in all sorts of places, but really they become your network of support. Why don't you talk about that? Because you were talking with one of our licensees out of the Phoenix, Arizona, that it was experiencing that very thing.
Yes, because these two licensees in the same area of the country, both are out building their business, have built huge businesses, and they've said, even though they've been in business 4 or 5 years there in that area, that they've never run into that other licensee. Why? Because, folks, this market is just too huge. Do a Google search for the actual physicians in your area, not just general practitioners, but all the different specialties. And you'll see that there are literally hundreds of doctors in any given geographical area. That means it's too big for one person. Look, Eric, what does our average licensee have in a number of clients? I don't know, a handful maybe, 5, 6?
Yep, 5 or 6.
That's because you can make a real good 6-figure income with that many clients. But in any particular area, there could be hundreds of doctors. So could there be more than one Allstate insurance company or dealership in one area? Yes. Could there be more than one CPA? Of course. The market's just too big. So the great thing is, Eric, when they come to training, that all of our licensees bond with one another in that training week and become their own support group, which is very important when you get out there on your own. Working in your home by yourself sounds great. It is for a while, but it gets lonely. And you need somebody else that you can chat with, pick up the phone, do a Skype conference call with, and really stay plugged in. And that's what our licensees do with our network.
Well, I just want to, before we move on, we know that Cynthia Anderson, the lady right at the top in the middle, she's actually the one that teaches the training classes. So those that are coming to our training class, you're actually going to meet her.
Right.
But then the two that were kind of to the bottom at a diagonal, we got one that's Tim, and Tim actually is in the Alabama area, and he actually helps licensee. And I think isn't he doing a webinar here soon for our licensees to help onboard the clients?
Tim has built his business so large that he is now going to become one of our webinar instructors. Because just like you guys are attending a webinar right now, once a week here as prospective licensees, once you become a part of our network, you're going to continue to attend webinars on a regular basis, but it will be for the people who've actually joined our network and are actually licensees out building their business. And Tim's going to be one of those instructors. Yes.
And then the other lady down towards the left-hand side, that's Janet Weiler, and she's a what's called a certified professional coder, and she's helped many of our licensees with some of the doctor's codes and everything. So I know that people get a little concerned about maybe if there's somebody else in my area, but folks, listen, this is the network you're getting plugged into.
In our 20 years experience, Eric, we've just not had any problems with anybody stumbling over one another or competing with each other because it's just too big an industry.
Yeah, exactly. And so as we're moving from being part of the nation's largest group of independent medical billers and then being supported by those folks, I think the other thing, reason why you want to get powered by us is because of our medical technology. And the one that we're showing right here is just one portion of it. But folks, as we say here, we just blow out the competition whenever it comes down to software.
Yes. And speaking of software, I have a question that I want to address because sometimes, Eric, you and I, we're in the forest, right? So we can't see the trees around us. And
Sure.
so maybe we have not made this clear. Those of you who've not gone to our website and really done your due diligence yet on this business may think that what we've said so far about technology means that you go out and actually sell the technology to the doctors. No, 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 no. You're going to be using the technology yourself to do their billing. They're going to outsource their billing to you and let you handle it. So one of the questions that just came in here from Susanna says, hi, I wonder if I buy the license to sell the right to use your software and something goes wrong, like the system stops working or so forth, who will have the responsibility to give a proper response to the doctor? Well, Susanna, first of all, you're not buying a license from us to be able to have the right to resell the software to doctors. You're going to be using it yourself, logging in right on your internet, just like you are right now, through a browser. And you're going to be actually doing their billing, submitting those claims. You'll see a little bit more about it from the screenshots we're about to show here.
Yeah, actually, and that's a great point because Susanna, what we do when we actually do our demos with our licensees, with the doctors, we say up front, doctor, we're not here to sell you software. We're here to sell you your money. We're just using the software as the vehicle to get you your money. That's the best way to think about it.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the 4 components here of the software, because Patrick, you had mentioned earlier, and maybe you want to kind of go back through this, and I'll flip this between this screen and the next screen, about other softwares where you have to have a third-party piece of software tied into another third-party piece of software. Why don't you kind of talk about that as we kind of look what's up on the screen right here?
Yeah, most of the time when you're doing medical billing, you're using a piece of software, and it could be cloud-based. We're not the only cloud-based system that's out there, but whatever it is that you're using to submit the claims, they go through what's called a clearinghouse, illustrated here in the bottom left-hand corner. A clearinghouse is just a claim scrubber. It's a company that they decided they'll take all your data electronically from all the different doctors and scrub it clean to make sure that the errors are not there. To some degree, and then resubmit that to the insurance companies and to Medicare. They'll do that for you for a fee. Well, in our system, we have not only the iClaim billing system, the practice management system, but we have the electronic medical records, as you see up in the upper right-hand corner, the patient portal for the patients to go and log in and maintain their own data, and the clearinghouse, all built into our system into one system that's completely integrated, owned by the same company. We can't pass the buck to anybody else. If something goes wrong, we don't blame it on the EMR company or the clearinghouse or the patient portal company. It's all controlled by us. Very unique in the industry.
Yeah, and this does give you and us the key advantage out there. Whenever you're going out there to talking with doctors, you're going to find out that they've got a hodgepodge of things that they've got. Patrick, I've even seen some doctors that are actually using the Google Calendar to keep up with their patient scheduler.
Oh my goodness.
That's horrible. That breaks every HIPAA rule in the world.
Right.
But what's on the left-hand side there, where it says iClaim, that you got the scheduler, the billing, the patient demographics, everything, and we're going to show that to you. The EMR side is everything that you see over here on the right. Below there, you see the patient portal. Everything's working together systematically, very, very smooth in operations. No breakdowns of communications.
Yeah. John is asking here, aren't there other systems out there available? Yes, but John, look at this. Look at this. This is a great timing for this. 89% of all physician practices agree their billing and collection systems need upgrading. 89%. Now, folks, you've heard of a window of opportunity. This is a huge window we're asking you to jump through with us as a company. Let us power you to the point where you go out and actually solve this problem, because the doctors who are looking to upgrade means that they're not happy with their current system. And even though you're not selling our system to them, you're letting them use the system, because you can do the billing through the practice management iClaim system, and the EMRX is what the doctor uses when they're having the encounter with the patient. All that data is all in one system.
Yeah, so let's just jump right on in here. We're going to start first of all with what we call the practice management system. This is everything that kind of runs into here. We're going to show you a few key little things here. And one of the things we like to show, not only to you as a potential licensee of ours, but once you become a licensee, and when we say that you're powered by, this is one of the strongest areas of where you're powered. And that is when we do a demo for you for your doctors. So folks, get this. You could come into this business today, come to the June training, find a doctor that may be interested in you billing for them, and all of a sudden you've got behind you American Business Systems who will conduct the demo. This is one of the first things we like to show. Because we own our own clearinghouse, we have the capability of going in here and not just registering a patient by typing in their information. We can really go in here and click on that where it says eligibility request, and I kind of blew that up here so you can see what I'm talking about here. I'll do this. I'll click on that button right there where it says eligibility request, and it's going to bring us to this screen. And at this point, there are just a few steps that need to be taken care of. I need to put the payer of that particular patient. In this case, I've got Aetna. I've got an ID number, and I'm ready to look this up. And then what happens after that, automatically it comes back up on the screen with this information. And the beauty about this thing is, if we did not have Isabella Stevens in this system, we could go right over to here where it says create chart, and with one more click of a button, we've created an entire patient chart for the doctor. Now, the question was asked by Isaac, how does the ABS software help the doctor see more patients? Patrick, I've done enough of these demos here with Office Manager. Says right here, you could save us up to 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
6 hours a day.
Right.
By doing what we just did there.
Yeah, because guys, again, you weren't seeing this in real time. These are just screenshots, but in real time, it happens just that fast. As soon as he clicks that button, our system goes out to the payer, let's say it's Aetna, and it grabs that data from that database in real time and inserts it into our system. So all the information about a patient, and it could be lots of information, it all comes in real time into the system over the internet in a split second. And think of the time that saves a doctor's office or you from having to type any of that in. Plus, there's where the rejection claim comes in. Look, we mentioned earlier the 34%. I think that's the next slide, Eric. 34%, according to the American Academy of Professional Coders, of all medical claims are rejected. Why? Because of what you just saw. That is human errors. People typing those things in is not the same as just importing it directly in real time. And that eliminates all those errors.
Yeah, and so not only are we going to reduce the time, we're actually going to reduce the claims that get rejected the first time. And here's where the important part is. Although that a lot of claims go through a lot of different clearinghouses, and they've kind of got them scrubbed, it's whenever they get to the payers. If that information that's coming from that doctor's office or another outside billing service doesn't match what's with the insurance companies, this is where this rejection rate gets that high. And then that's whenever a lot of claims never get refiled. Now, Deidre, you've asked some questions about the coding, and that's what we want to get into now, is about the EMRX, and because this is where all the coding actually happens.
Right.
Patrick, why don't you talk a little bit about this whole system right here, because this is what's revolutionizing some of the things right here for the doctors.
Yeah, it's hard for people to wrap their brain around this, but there are thousands of codes that the doctors use. They're just numbers, basically, that are tied to a chart of codes that relates to what the doctor thinks is wrong with the patient, and another set of codes that are for what the doctor thinks that they can do for the patient or what they do for the patient. The procedure codes, they're called. So you've got the diagnostic codes, you've got the procedure codes. All of those are built into our system. So even though there's a whole new set of codes coming October 1st of this year, I mean, thousands more than they're using now, our system is already ready for it because it has those codes built in. Now, that's a kind of a tiny screenshot, but if you look carefully there, Eric, point to them there, and you'll see that that is the ICD-10 codes that are actually in our system. And to the right of it there, left of it there is the ICD-9 codes. So the doctor can see what they're currently using, and they can also peek at and be ready for the ICD-10 codes when they come out. This is why this is an important statistic here too.
Yeah, 87% of all physicians here state a preference for a single source vendor for their revenue cycle management. That would be what we saw with iClaim, and their EHR software systems. So what they're doing, what they're thinking correctly. They want a single source that they can have their practice management, revenue cycle management, and their EHR all working together. Now, some vendors are out there that are finally getting to that stage. But again, where we differ from everybody else, if you remember, there's those 4 blocks of information: iClaim, EMRX, patient portal, and we own our own clearinghouse. That is something that no other vendors can talk about. So not only have we combined the revenue cycle management piece of software, which is the practice management, which is iClaim, and the EMRX system, not only have we done that, we've got the clearinghouse to go back behind it. So again, for Deidre's questions, actually 2 questions that she's got here. If the doctor codes the treatment incorrectly, how do we determine what is the correct code? And then you came back down here and asked, so if the doctor codes the information incorrectly, the clearinghouse will correct it? It's not the clearinghouse that will correct that, Deidre. It's the system that you're looking at right here. Right. The doctor will actually use this system, and the system then will provide the doctor the proper suggested ICD-9 or ICD-10 code, and then finally the procedure code. Now, if you'd like to see that, we'll be happy to do a demonstration for you. Not today on the webinar, but we'll happily set up one for you so you can see what that actually looks like.
Yeah, if any of you on the webinar today wants to see an actual live demo of the system, just let your ABS rep know that. Whoever sent you the email inviting you to this webinar, they'll get with you and we'll set up a demo one-on-one with you. We're not going to try to sell you anything. We just want to show you, and you will say the same thing the doctors do when they see it, right, Eric? Which is like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if you look at that carefully on the left-hand side there, that big screen, you'll notice that it says ICD-9, and there are all the ICD-9 suggested codes shown right below that. So the doctor simply picks the one that fits the situation for that patient. That's why we say, guys, you don't need to know anything about coding. Don't go to college and take a course in medical coding. You don't need it unless you want to go to work for a doctor. But if you want to start your own business and be your own boss, this system has it all built in.
Good. And I think you, Deidre, check that out. I want to make sure. But I think you say now you understand. I think that's what you're wanting to say there. So I appreciate that. So thank you for that feedback there. And folks, I talked briefly about the clearinghouse. We don't want to get bogged down too much in this because, again, this is something that, when you start to do your billing, especially in the iClaim platform, it's just going to become invisible to you. But folks, basically what Patrick mentioned to you, you got to have a third party, or actually this clearinghouse, not actually a third party for us, but you have to have something that will format these claims for each of those payers that are out there. And since we've got that built in, not only can we do that in real time, but folks, like I showed you earlier about checking eligibility and then creating a patient chart directly from the payers into the system, I'm telling you, folks, this is where we separate ourselves from everybody else. And that's why it's important for you to be thinking in your mind, now I understand what it means to be powered by American Business Systems. You will have everything that you're going to need to go out there and build a type of business that really is going to be good for you, good for the doctor, and if you think about it in a bigger term, really good for your community as well.
Yeah, Eric, one more chart to emphasize the importance of not having rejected claims. You'll notice in this next slide that we're showing the actual cost of doing having to deal with those rejected claims in a doctor's office. Now, this is from the MGMA, a Medical Group Management Association. They say based on a single provider office sending 6,200 claims per year, look at the cost from January through December. Look how it rises. Eric, by the end of the year, they've spent $33,000 dealing with the rejected claims.
Right.
Our system can cut that down from that to, well, again, less than 2% rejection rate. So 2% of 6,200, whatever that is. It's not many.
Well, Patrick, I know that you and I want to try to cram in so much here, but folks, if you don't get this, your family doctor that is in your neighborhood may be squeaking out a salary of about $75,000-$80,000 a year. That is what we're talking about here. So whenever they've got all these claims that they have to go try to get someone to go rework or go back and fix this, that's why these doctors they're under the $100,000 mark now, because it's costing them thousands of dollars to go chase the money. We got to stop them chasing the money.
Think about it this way. All we do is help doctors to get more money faster. That's all you do as an ABS licensee. But what can that mean? It could mean an increase for that doctor of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. That's what it could mean.
Yeah,
and that there's no selling involved in this service.
Yeah, and that's why I said we're selling the doctors their money, not a piece of software.
Yeah. If I could go out on the street corner and sell $20 bills for a dollar, do you think people would buy them from me if they thought they were real?
Right, exactly. And then finally, that last little piece there, and again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on here, but just know that your software, being an ABS licensee, has a full functional patient portal. And this is actually cool to see too, because once you see this in action, it's just extremely time-saving, makes things nice. So kind of going all the way back to Isaac's question. Isaac, this is another way in which we can help save the time for the doctor's office as well.
Yep. Deidre says, what does MGMA mean again? It's the Medical Group Management Association, Deidre. Now, hey, by the way, one of the questions here has to do with HIPAA and the security of all of our data. Folks, believe me, there's no more paranoid CEO in the United States than me, right, Eric? I'm pretty paranoid about the data and the privacy of the patient information. So first of all, just know that the government has looked at our system and has said you are HIPAA compliant. That means that we're doing everything possible that's humanly possible to protect the data of our patient information. It's the same technology that's used by all the major banks and investment firms that have to do with money. So we're protecting that because we are HIPAA compliant. And all of the servers are in very protected, I'm talking about bomb-proof buildings. They're backed up nightly. They're redundant. That means there's 2 or 3 versions of the same data in several places in the United States. Believe me, folks, we've done our homework on this, and this is as secure a data as it gets. But all medical systems that are online in the cloud have to be HIPAA compliant.
Exactly. Patrick, we're getting a ton of questions in here. I'm looking at the clock. We got about 20 more minutes. We're maybe halfway through here. Folks, another reason to get involved with us and knowing this is that everything that you see here on the screen, you have at your access. There's nothing else that you have to pay for. We've already talked about iClaim. We've already talked about EMRX. You have a full suite of solutions. And like I said, here's just another screenshot of showing the scheduler that's built into iClaim. Here it is again with the EMRX. Again, it's just another solution. But however, Patrick, let's start talking about some of the other services that they have. Talk about this auto card.
Yeah, let me tell you why this is important, folks. Because if you go out in the marketplace and you tell a doctor all you do is medical billing, you don't have any competitive edge. The competitive edge our licensees have are these auxiliary services, starting with AutoCard. What is AutoCard? Well, it's real simple. It's a series of cards, yes, physical cards printed in full color that can be customized online in an online web-based system that you can use to not only help the doctor to bring in his patients back in and refer other patients, but you can use it to build your own medical billing practice because it's a great automated way of sending these cards out. Once you put the patient information in, There's nothing but to push a button each month and the cards go out. So I think our next slide shows a picture of some of the cards. On the outside, they look all alike. They're tied together with our theme. On the inside of the card, it has information there about your company, of course, and how to contact you. It's a great way to stay in contact with your doctors, and one of the ways that we teach you how to market.
Exactly. And so, folks, these are just postcards, or again, sometimes they're going to be just regular greeting cards and everything like that. Again, we've done this, and folks, not only have we've got up at the top, you see the title, Marketing That Works. Patrick, we know for sure that this works.
Yeah.
We know that it does. We know from our licensees. We've test marketed ourselves here in the Fort Worth area.
Right.
Folks, we know that this actually works. This is not theory. This is actual real work.
I've done many interviews with licensees who've said that they got their first client by just putting them on AutoCard. And folks, you're not printing anything. This is all done offline, behind the scenes. It's printed, stuffed in an envelope, stamped, and mailed for you. You don't ever touch anything except online. You just design and put the wording that you want in there. Anyway, it's a great system. You have to see it to believe it.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Quick Collect. A lot of people talk about collections versus quick collect. Let's talk about this real quickly, Patrick.
Yeah, there are collection agencies out there that would love to take over the doctor's bad patient debt and go after them. The problem is they're collection agencies, and they only collect about 14% of all the money that's turned over to them. With our Quick Collect system, which is not a collection agency, we go out and collect the money, the bad debt for the doctors, and collect not 14%, but 41%. It's an unheard of number, and the doctors love it because it costs them as little as 5% of the money collected. Most collections agencies charge what, Eric? I don't know, 40, 50%.
Yeah, at least. I mean, it's on average right there. Collection costs about 34%, but it's 34, 40, 50, 50%. It could be as high as that. So this is another suite of solutions that you're able to do. Now, Choice Pay is another really nice little portion of it here, because this fits really nicely, Patrick, because the deductibles are higher and patients need to pay over time a little bit, and
Right.
instead of them having to use a credit card, they can actually use Choice Pay.
Yeah, it's an online system that gives the patient the choice of paying the way that's comfortable for them, the amount of money that they can afford each month, and the way they want it paid, through a credit card or a debit out of their checking account. So it's a completely automated way, and it's increased revenue for doctors across the board. I can't tell you how many doctors have been excited when they find out that there is a way to allow their patients to pay out their balances and not have to worry about that.
Audit Guard. This one and the next one that we're going to talk about has to do with the coding. So anybody that's kind of got their antennas up about coding, and folks, you don't have to do coding. We've got coders for you to help go. And this one in particular has to deal with running some audits. Really, basically, Patrick, I haven't even told you about. I told you about this a couple of weeks ago, that I was working with a licensee, and we actually did one of these and showed where the doctor's score of what they're currently doing was like in the 30 percentile of what they should have been.
So basically, let's start with the Audit Guard. Audit Guard is a way of doing an audit of some of the doctor's patient charts to find out how they're coding and whether they're coding over what they should or under.
Right.
Most doctors undercode, like Eric said, and we can increase their revenue by 30%. But a lot of them overcode, and the reason that's important is shown here in the next slide. There are fines from Medicare. If they come in and audit a doctor, Medicare, and says, okay, you've been overcoding, they can get fined. Yeah. And so Audit Guard is coming in and taking care of that and protecting the doctor from those fines. That can be up to $10,000 per code that's wrong.
Per code that's wrong, exactly. And then we have CODERITE. Now, this is once the doctor finds, I have really been messing up here. We've got a completely separate solution for them that they can get a daily printout of everything that they do, and it'll tell them whether they need to take an action about it or if a certain doctor needs to do something about it. And again, folks, when you walk into a doctor's office and the doctor might ask you, do you do coding? You say, absolutely, I do coding.
Right. because our
Because
certified medical coders are doing all this for you as a service that the doctor pays for, by the way. And they gladly pay for it because, as Eric has said, we can increase their revenue by looking at the codes that they're currently using and saying, look, you may be coding this visit as a level 3 and it should be a level 4. They could earn another $40, $50 on that visit. So it helps them to stay compliant with Medicare, but it also increases their revenue tremendously.
I think you've got some information right here about that.
Yeah, and of course, talking about codes and the new ICD-10s that are coming in October, this question was asked to doctors with thousands of new codes to consider. What effect will ICD-10 have on your practice? Look at this, Eric. 50% of the doctors out there says it will create a severe administrative problem. With our licensees, they go out and take that all off of the doctor and say, you're not going to have a problem. You know why? Because your staff, your administration staff is not going to have to deal with it. We're going to deal with it for you through our system.
Exactly. And then we have iDocs Now. Now, this is great. Again, I think, Mickey, you were asking about some HIPAA issues with just the software, but there's still paper that has to be dealt with, whether it's a patient's chart or whatever it might be. Patrick, talk a little bit about how this iDocs Now works.
Well, think of it this way. It's a file cabinet in the cloud. Yeah, we literally use it here at ABS. We have no paper. All the paper that comes in is scanned immediately into the cloud and stored offline. Why is that important? Because first of all, I can access it here from my home office anytime I want to. Any document that's sent to our office, I have immediate access to it. And so does all of my staff from any computer in the world that has an internet connection. It's all HIPAA compliant, of course, and it's all stored offline because it's the wave of the future. All paper will be gone eventually. In our office, there is no paper. And the doctor can take all of those files that you see behind the doctor, file cabinets full of patient data, they can upload it, or you can do that for them for a fee, up into the cloud. And then they have access to it from anywhere. And look, here's why we put this slide in here. This says, which of the following best describes your current practice? Here it is, 2014. I am overextended and overworked. 49% says I'm at full capacity. So what happens is, guys, when we take all of that burden of dealing with papers, you've seen it. You walk into a doctor's office, there's stacks of paper everywhere. We put that all online. His entire staff has availability to all of those documents, even simultaneously. Two people can look at the exact same patient record at the same time electronically. It's fantastic. You can look at it on your iPad. You can look at it on a computer. I guess you could look at it on your iPhone, but I'm getting old for that. I couldn't see that. I couldn't read much on my screen.
And then if we didn't have everything else, we have what's called the physician's toolbox. And this is, folks, where if a doctor asks you, can you do something? The answer is yes.
Yeah. Just say yes, because we have other services that we don't think of as our primary services, but we don't want the doctor ever ask you a question that you can't say, of course I can do that, or have it done. You have, remember, people. That's the great thing about being a part of the nation's largest network, being powered by ABS. You have access to all of these other people that we've already negotiated with and have the ability to perform all of those services for the doctor, for a fee, of course.
Absolutely. And so, folks, if you ever get, it would just be easy enough for you to pick up the phone, call support, and say, hey, I need help with transcription, or I need help with credentialing, or whatever that might be. If you ever hear those words and you're out there, you can certainly say, yep, doc, let me get back with my office. I'll get back with you. I'll let you know what we could do. And then finally, Patrick, you and I put this in here because we are always looking for new solutions all the time. So let me ask this question. If we've got all these suites of solutions here, what would be the cost of a licensee that's already been a part of ABS and we add a new solution? What's the additional cost on that?
I don't know. I'd come up with probably several $1,000s. No, I'm just fooling. Look, here's why we call our licensing fee, folks, a one-time lifetime licensing fee, because all of the services we talked about today, that's all included in the licensing fee when you come to our training. You will never pay anything additional for any of the new services that we roll out. You can take advantage of them and offer them to the doctors if you want to, or ignore them. You're your own business person. This is not a franchise. You don't have to do anything, but we certainly make those available to you. And Eric, I know you're working on some stuff right now. I'd let you talk about them, but then we'd have to kill everybody because
That's right. Yeah.
proprietary
You
stuff. But just trust me, guys. As the head of research and development, Eric is always tuned in to the new stuff that's going on out there, and we've brought a lot of new stuff to the licensees since Eric became a part of our company. And in the last 7 years, Eric, we probably brought in a half a dozen things
oh,
that
sure.
would not have been there had we not continually done our research and development and stayed on top of what's happening in the industry. Another
And you know,
good reason to be a part of our network.
yeah, exactly. And there's some things that we just don't even use anymore because there's no need for it, or we've got it replaced by something else. So
Right.
that's another reason why. I know we're getting close up to the top of the hour again. We kind of
Yeah.
want to look at the marketing here that works. Again, folks, when you become a licensee, everything that you see here on the screen right now, all these marketing pieces, you're going to get over 2,000 pieces of marketing material. Now, this is not anything that you run through your inkjet printer. This is on high gloss paper that's for you to be able to use along with everything else. As you can see here, there's a revenue cycle management folder that you get there as well, the book Cash Crunch to Cash Flow, the video there, and that's all of the marketing. Now, a reason I want to kind of jump to this portion of it is because I believe in our industry and what we do, and Patrick, you and I have heard this time and time again. Everybody on our staff has heard it. Your training is second to none. And we're talking about folks that have been through large corporate trainings.
Yeah.
This is it.
Right. They've gone to IBM's training and GM and GE and all the other big major companies out there, and they've said, we've never seen anything as complete and as precise as this training is. And folks, we cover a lot in that week. It's Monday morning, 8 o'clock till Friday around 1 o'clock when we let you out so you can get home at a decent time. And folks, it's just a ton of information, but we present it in such a way that you can retain it. We give you a set of DVDs at the end of the training so you can review it. It's tremendous. There's some shots of some of the live training. Eric, let's get on through these because I do want to get to some of the questions there. Live support. Eric, we have licensees that at one time we used to offer support like for a year at a time, maybe 2 years.
Right.
Extended it to 2 years. And that's the most any company out there does. We have decided to have it lifetime. That is, as long as you're an ABS licensee running claims through our system, you have our support. Never a charge for that ever, ever, ever in the future. Be sure and ask that to any other company that you might look at that's doing some training of some kind. There's always ongoing support. And we have our licensee support side, Eric. Tell them about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you've seen the our website, and then you can go to the virtual brochure. We also have this, what's called our licensee support site. And you can see we keep this up to date, and this is full and chock full of information. Every webinar that we do for our licensees is archived on there. And you can information about coding, doctor challenges, door opener services, everything that you can imagine is chalked on there. And then also part of this, again, you can see we've left nothing out. We're going to help you with your proposals. We're going to help you with your pricing. And that all goes into this folder here with a nice looking proposal, a nice looking practice revenue report, which you get some data and run that through. And folks, that's why we do what we do here, because from start to finish, from the day that you said, yes, I want to become a licensee, to the time that you're getting your first client, we are here every step of the way. You're never left unto yourself there. And then finally, I want to get to this last part, and that's the marketing demos that we do for you. Patrick, we can't even put a price upon this.
No.
This is where, again, this is where if there's one thing that we're ending this webinar with, this is where you're plugged in and you're truly powered by ABS.
Yeah, when this demo is done live for your prospective doctor client, you can be on there as it's illustrated here. We're on there. We're using technology here like this that you see here to connect and show the doctor every step of the way how he would utilize and benefit by outsourcing his billing to you. That's what it's all about. And Eric, we're closing about half of all of the demos that we do right now with the doctors. So folks, your job is not to sell anything. Your job is to see if you can get the doctors to a demo. And once they do, they're blown away.
Exactly. And then the last portion of it is, and I'm gonna let Patrick take this because I think this is the best guarantee in the market.
Yeah, and guys, the reason I came up with this 100% money back guarantee is because I don't want anybody coming to our training and at the end of the training going, boy, I wished I hadn't spent this money and come down here for this week. I can't do anything about your time if you do come to the training, but at the end of the week, if for any reason you don't think this is right for you, any reason, it doesn't matter. If you don't like the way Eric's hair is parted that day, just tell us you want a refund. You get every penny of your money back. So yes, it's the only thing. No, it's unheard of in the industry in any business to let you come down for a whole week and see all of our proprietary information. You'll learn everything you need to do to go out and build a medical billing business, and then you can still ask for your money back. How do we do that? Well, first of all, it never happens.
Right.
I think it has happened maybe three
It
times in
has.
our whole history.
Yeah.
But the point is, guys, that we know what we have. And people, if you watch some of the testimonials on our blog, on our website, you'll see people rave about our training and say it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Exactly. Exactly.